Hey everyone, I'm SSX, and welcome to SSX. With me is Blank Tester.
Hey kids, how's it going?
Turo.
The future.
And Zindictive.
Hell yeah.
So SSX, or SSX 2012, or SSX Deadly Descents, is a extreme sports snowboarding game released in 2012 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, actually as a reboot of the SSX series, which was really popular a decade before. You know, check to see if the format can work, and also a check to get more of an online component to sort of this genre, which this console generation hadn't really seen before. So let's jump right in.
Hey folks, DJ Atomica here, broadcasting live from my nifty little sound booth, bringing you all the latest news to shake up the world of extreme sports. So it turns out that recently 3 of the best riders snow, surf, and dirt have ever known have come together to do something big. The 3 riders in question are surf legend Tane Mumea, snowboard superstar Mac Fraser, and the one and only Zoe Payne. They're calling themselves SSX, short for snowboarding, surfing, and motocross. And they have an idea. They plan to ride and conquer the world's 9 most deadly descents. They're not going to do it alone, so they've scoured the globe and built Team SSX from some familiar faces, a few new ones, and together they represent the 9 best riders in the world. Recent news has found my ears, though, that one of their original team members, Griff Simmons, has bailed on Team SSX. And with Griff gone, most of SSX's funding has followed. So SSX has turned to their fans for help. Live streaming this monumental event will give SSX the funding they need to get right back in this thing and kick off the adventure. Now it's Team SSX versus Griff in a race around the globe for all the glory. And Griff has a head start. The stage is now set. Good luck, Team SSX.
I think that was cute.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I don't like that they retroactively made SSX stand for what was
surfing,
it?
snowboarding, motocross.
Yeah, 2 of which don't appear in this game.
Yeah, like they were going to make like a whole extreme
Sequel
sports
shit.
lineup if this did well.
Yeah.
Yep, and there's always dirt in these games.
They had freak style. Maybe they were planning on bringing back freak style.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole EA Sports lineup.
I think.
Go.
No, I was just gonna say that I think if they made SSX 2021 instead of 2012, they would have included a lot more TikTok slang in that little speech there. You know, right? Like it'd be lit,
My
fam,
God.
Okay.
something. I don't know.
No.
But no, I mean, so yeah, it was just
I
this
forgot
game.
about this.
The series didn't continue, but that's certainly not because this game is bad. I think it was just extreme sports, didn't have really the levity anymore or such.
Yeah.
Not levity, the
They
staying
jumped the
power
gun
or
on the
such.
return of extreme sports, I think.
Right, but again, like, especially the online parts of this game really kind of establish and set the groundwork for what future games like Steep and then the games coming out now, Riders Republic, Shredders, are going to do. Again, at this console generation, your extreme sports and, especially snowboarding beforehand was pretty much single player. Like Shaun White and Stoked and such. Yeah, and Amped. But also, there were obviously a lot of other changes, including with the control scheme. You're kind of getting a overall tutorial here, which is really nice for someone who hasn't played it before. I mean, they go back and are like, oh, SSX Tricky is like one of the greatest games of the generation. Let me see what it's like. And if they haven't played anything like it before, it's...
That was literally my experience, right? Like, because I never actually played it, and I think this was my first SSX game that I'd put any significant amount of time into.
Yeah, same.
And boy howdy, having this tutorial here, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Just thematically, it's really cool, but it's also really helpful.
So, like, instead of the shoulder buttons being your grabs and then face buttons being, boost and tweak and all of that, they've changed it now. So the face buttons and or the right stick are all of your grabs.
Right.
With then right trigger being your boost or tweak. And then, they've also got a classic control scheme if you're really a diehard purist, which, back in the day when this came out, I prepped for it by playing like Tricky and 3 and such. So I was like, yes, give me that classic control scheme. I don't want this new one. But actually, the classic control scheme, you feel more restricted in like spinning and flipping and really getting your tricks going. So I'd say it's worth it to learn this control scheme. It's not hard, and actually, I like that it is intuitive in what buttons and button combinations map to like what grabs. You know, that's something that you don't really notice as a kid, but now playing now, it's like, oh yeah, they've specifically made it so that like
Left
Y
hand is on this
will
thing.
mean, you know, a double hand grab, and then Y, X, you double hand grab the backside of your board. YB, you double hand grab the front, you know, or the left and right side and such. And then, yeah, there's more tricks than ever, really, because as soon as you know, get out of your base grabs into Tricky, every one of your grabs becomes like a level 1, kind of 1-footer. And then, you know, when you do enough of those, every one of your grabs becomes a level 2 as well. So there's, like, overall, a lot more tricks at your disposal than you had at any one time before.
Oh,
Your hand's
they're
on
flipping.
fire now.
Yeah, and as we like get into the gameplay, you know, we get the ground tutorial, and then we start going through the Rockies, and also, yep, the return of character-specific signature tricks, which is nice.
Man, this game is awesome.
Yeah, you'll just see as you get into the gameplay just how freeform it is, just how like the game allows you to do almost anything you want. I mean, it's really just a ramp up of, you know, as a series goes on, you gotta make it crazier, make you able to do more, and yeah, it's a lot of
Fucking
fun.
break dancing in the air.
Man, I gotta go back and play this game again.
And yeah, you also hear an old song from the original SSXs. They do, I don't know if this was back at launch or if they've just implemented this since then, but yeah,
I
John
think
Morgan,
it was part of the DLC. Do you
A
have the
few-
DLC?
Yeah, I have all the DLC.
Yeah, I think this is part of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the first stop on the SSX Deadly Descent road trip. Thought we'd kick things off right here at home, and there's no better place to do it than the Rockies. It's just pure backcountry riding at its best. Or worst if you're not prepared. It's always best to lead by example. So I'm gonna be the one that sets the bar out there. The Rockies are all mine. My board and my suit have been specifically engineered to take all the knocks the toughest line of the Rockies can throw my way. But it's my skills as a rider that are gonna get me to the Deadly Descent of Mount Robson. I've set up a few races along the way to keep us all sharp, as well as some live feed events that our online fans are gonna lose their minds over. So, let's not disappoint them.
All right, so it's interesting because the first like 9 or 10 parts of this are going to be the single player world tour, which is going to show you each mountain range and get you some experience, like literally XP, with each of the main characters. But again, that's almost the whole thing is sort of like an extended tutorial to set you up for then going and, you know, going to get medals on all the events, on all the mountains, all the peaks, and then back when the online scene was alive, you know, doing global events and facing off versus other people online, trying to beat their best times and scores and getting credits and such. But yeah, I mean, it's still gonna be fun, obviously, showing everything off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after the air tutorial, another ground tutorial here.
Yeah.
Butters.
Giving
not
you all
quite
the things like tail presses and nose presses. These are still
Yeah.
here, and you can link those. Use those to keep your combo going.
Although I don't think they're as useful as they used to be.
Well, actually,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No,
You could do one as long as you want to without having to worry about like balancing it and such, and it will definitely be worth doing so to get you from jump to jump to keep your combo going, because you're going to see combos are you know, bigger
They're
and
the
badder
thing.
than ever. Just like
Yeah.
you know,
They're
how
very
you're getting more
important in
points
this
for
game.
everything else in this game. If you hold a combo down one of the really long tracks, you can like more than double your points
yeah.
when the
much.
combo cashes in at the end. There are a few things with the game that are interesting, odd I'd say, and one of them is the incredible rail magnetism.
Yeah.
Yeah, where these rails are throughout the levels, if you get even close to them, the game will start putting you on them, which, coming back to this as someone who, like, didn't play it since it came out, and so being like, okay, I know extreme sports, but this game is kind of new to me in a way. I think that is actually useful because they do put the rails like, where there's like death pits and stuff. They do a bunch to help you out and get you out of trouble as well. And that's also something we'll see that maybe was, it's kind of different looking back in hindsight. Like back when this game came out, it's like, ooh, I wish the game didn't do this, or ooh, I wish it didn't do that. But playing it now, it's like, well, I appreciate we even got another one. I appreciate we got a reboot that has all this cool stuff in it. Yeah. And that is that a lot of this game, or at least the main core kind of what you're going towards in World Tour, is all about the deadly descents and these dangers, these tracks that you can ride on and possibly not survive. There's stuff in your way, there's bottomless pits, there's all these things you need to handle and manage, and sometimes that means just avoid stuff, but sometimes that means like, hey, we have a gimmick, additional game mechanic that you have to maintain while trying to do cool tricks or race fast. And it also, like the marketing, I remember when the game was first announced, really made it seem a lot more serious. Like they really leaned into the, like this could be the final ride of your life kind of thing, and people pushed back on that. And again, I don't know what changed. Maybe it was just the marketing that changed, or maybe they really did go back and like try to make it a little more arcadey. But by release, the tone and such had kind of transitioned. There's still that, death pits and stuff to watch out for on some of the tracks, but there is enough to do where you won't have to worry about falling into crevices and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like what they've really changed is they made it more like tricky and such. You even hear the old tricky thing when you get the tricky bar filled.
Tricky! Yeah. I wonder if that was in the game back when that original marketing trailer was released.
I think it probably was.
Oh.
Because, like, my thought is, like, if you're going to reboot, you're going to want to, and you want to hit people's nostalgia, that's one of the core things you're going to want to do, right? Like, otherwise, the reboot, why even fucking bother?
Well, but like, they wanted to go for a reboot, so I'm guessing they want to do something new and such. They didn't want to just retrace old steps. But because of the backlash and such, they wanted to also appease the people who are pretty much kind of pissed by these changes.
I mean, people tend to be kind of entitled about things like that. But, like, I just mean, like, I think they probably had that planned from the jump. I think they probably had planned to get the licensing for that song again so that they could do that. But I guess I don't know for sure.
Yeah, that's true. They probably would have needed to get the licensing for the song, and that's just
the
something
main thing that would
scramble together.
Yeah.
That is worth pointing out, that there is a lot of nostalgia or references.
Oh God!
Oh, Microsoft
and yes,
points.
If you want to get more credits, you could always do microtransactions.
I'm really more at the fact that Microsoft points have entered my brain again.
But yeah, I mean, like, of the 10 characters, 7 of them are basically the staple that got created for like SSX 3. The 6 that made it from the original SSX all the way to 3, plus Simon, basically the 7 that became core. I just said that. Yeah. But also, like, bringing back Run DMC's It's Tricky to do something cool with that when you get tricky. And as well as these returning characters have a lot of voice lines that they had in the past. Now, it is not a return to, like, so much personality, kind of like the older games were. I still feel like the characters are very, very similar. Obviously, they wear different clothes and have different signature moves, but that's kind of it. And that's definitely noticeable if you hear those reference lines, because, like, in the old games, they'll be yelling and crazy and such, and in here, it's like, I don't know, they didn't want to raise their voice, or the person in the next studio over would come and tell them to quiet it down.
Yeah.
They didn't want to talk over the music.
That's because they knew Insetic was recording a video in the next room. And so
yeah. How
but
polite
again, I definitely appreciate it. And also, yes, you're going to notice a lot of badges and stuff unlocking. I mean, just because I played this game back in the day doesn't mean I have that same Xbox and same hard drive. So, like, my achievements and such carried over. That's stored in the cloud. But on this Xbox, with a fresh copy of the game, fresh, no save data. So yeah, I'm starting at nothing with like no credits. And though I actually think, I kind of want to show off, like, oh yeah, I'm doing these cool maneuvers, I'm getting bigger and better, and I'm getting the badges along the way. That's like, you got 10 straight seconds of airtime. You did like a 40-320 spin. Like those kind of things.
Yeah. Also,
You know what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I noticed that there was an equipment system in the menus, which is also pretty interesting. I was just wondering your general opinions on it because I'm pretty mixed on it, but mostly in favor of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, despite every skin change being literally just recolors, there's a lot of customization in terms of, you could buy like a whole ton of different recolors or outfits or get the perfect board that is, like a racing or tricking board and has the perfect stats. And as you see as we'll go along, and especially after the World Tour part, where again I'll show off some of the, just going after records and stuff, you can change out your gear and try and get the perfect gear. Change out your mods, like get a one-time, speed boost mod, tricky time mod, or mod that affects your equipment. Like so many, changes and customization
Tweaks
stuff. But again, mostly to just try and get like the best stats on it. That is kind of unfortunate. Like like Zoe's wearing here, every one of her outfits will just be a recolor. Which is a little but
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's neat the equipment system, but at the same time, I'm like, a lot of it feels like an added loot grind. That isn't necessary for the game to just be like they could have just had a couple pre-built boards and that's it, and I think that would have been fine. But I don't know. It's new. I don't have a problem with it really. It just doesn't seem like a necessary change. I can definitely see other people having a big problem with it.
Yeah, and I don't want to go into it too much because again we're so early on in this. But like this game, and this is just sign of the times. This is just the state of this game being made 10 years after all the previous ones. That this game was just designed to take a lot more time. And designed so that you do grind in a way to or you can grind to try and get the best stuff rather than just, you've gone through the levels, you've gotten gold medals, now you get your character's best board, or hey, it's all in the shop and you can see everything you can buy from the start, and when you have enough money, just drop it on the best board and get that.
Yeah. That was the thing Connor and I talked about in DMs. I don't know necessarily that this game was right in the middle of this craze, but like it seems like the total game design philosophy for games of all genres for a little bit there was like, we want to make a game that has so much shit in it and so much to get and so much to do that you don't have time to play other games. And like, I'm glad there are a lot of smaller indie experiences coming out these days where like, you play through it, and if you want to, you play through it again, but otherwise, thank you for playing, have a great day.
I feel like around this time was more like, we need to make sure we add so much shit and make sure about a good portion of it you have to pay for maybe, and also make sure that we have some online requirements too, because that online, bro...
Yeah, I mean, they're experimenting
I appreciated
with
the online. And again, I don't want to talk about that too early, so...
Yeah. And they're experimenting with microtransactions and finding the right balance for them.
And this is
right?
EA.
Like, not the right balance for us, because that's not why they add microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like, companies add microtransactions so that they make money, not so that we have a great time.
I feel like...
I just would really like to think that this game doesn't fuck over the consumer.
That's true. I never
spent
after I bought the game, I never spent a dime on it, and I had a great time with it. I never felt like I was missing out on content. One thing I do want to say real quick. The thing that I really liked about this game when I played it originally and seeing it back again is like every there are so many really cool set pieces
Oh yeah.
that you just fly by, and like it's clear they put a lot of attention to like making those set pieces really work, and you can still just zip on by them. And
It's
like,
really neat.
you know, and it's not like you zip by them and then you're done with the track too soon. Like you get enough of each track to really enjoy yourself.
There's a lot of branching paths that don't necessarily feel like shortcuts. They just feel like other parts of the track that you chose to go down.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when the game was announced, I remember seeing some game magazine, I don't remember what game magazine, probably Game Informer, with Deadly Descents on the front cover, and I remember thinking like, oh, my friends really like the SSX series, Deadly Descents? Okay, let's see what they do. Like, I wasn't pissed off about it because I didn't have, like, any kind of nostalgia about it, but, like, I think it wasn't, like, people were afraid they would go serious with the game, but I don't think that's the right terminology for it. I think what they did was they went less cartoony than the previous games. Like, the previous games had more of a cartoon aesthetic, both to the tone of the game and also the art style.
Yeah.
And they went for a realism art style here, but they still have, like, the tricks are all still unrealistic.
You're spinning
without
faster
being
than ever
silly.
before.
Yeah.
What you can do is way over the top. The game is so lenient that you almost have to try to crash.
Almost.
Some people will now post in the comments like, "What do you mean? I fall down all the time." But note, once I get going really fast and such, how it's almost like like trees just blow past me and such. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. That sure, none of these levels are like Tokyo Megaplex. None of them are that insane and over the top. But it's always way more.
It's not a simulation game.
Arcadey than like the games that came after it. That kind of made me go, now things are getting a little too drab and real. Like it's like playing on an amplified Minecraft world.
Yeah. Where, like, the set pieces are wild, but they're not, like, I don't know, they're not silly.
I remember one of the things that people were talking about, this isn't my old SSX, was that they used, like, scanned geographic data from, like, real satellite data to make some of the mountains, which, like, first of all, I don't think any of these mountains exist as they do in the real world.
They've changed them up enough that,
I get the feeling that no one is doing this run in real life. But also, even then, is that really even a bad thing? Like,
honestly, that sounds to me like a cost-saving measure.
Again, it feels like a lot of this is hindsight stuff. Like when we got this game in 2012, it might have been like, oh, why am I not getting something like Mercury City? Oh, why am I getting Skrillex and dubstep in my game?
Oh, but God.
Again, 10 years later, we don't have another SSX. This was the last hurrah. I really appreciate it. I'm glad it exists. But, all right, now we're kind of getting into the, more dangerous stuff here. Like, again, Zoe's here at the Rockies because the Deadly Descent is going to be trees. There's going to be stuff in your way. And always at every mountain range, in World Tour, you're going to play some tracks that are, more open and don't really have their mountain ranges gimmick, but then you'll go to one that's sort of a training ground, sort of a, hey, check this out before getting to the actual Deadly Descent. So we jumped peaks at the Rockies, and we're dealing with a track where we had to put on armor because there's a lot of trees, and we don't want to hit those and lose all our health and such.
Yeah.
Oh man, you mentioned dubstep, and I forgot how much I actually really liked the soundtrack. Not a big fan of dubstep generally, but like I think their track choices were actually really good, and I forgot how much I actually enjoyed this song in particular.
Yeah. There's one song, and the only song that I like still regularly listen to from this game, the song Plastic Smile by Felgic featuring Example. That song fucking rips. I love that song so much, and it's dubstep. I don't really listen to a lot of dubstep either, but that song is fucking dope.
Yeah.
If someone charted that song for like Clone Hero, I would totally play it.
Part of what I think works for the dubstep in this game as the soundtrack is that like dubstep itself has like a really aggressive sound to it. Like almost all dubstep, it sounds pretty aggressive, and so like in a game where some, if not all, the tracks have a certain level of quote-unquote danger to them, you know, it's not edgy, but it is a little bit dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's cool. I like that. It's got that sort of aggressive tone to it that really works well with what they're going for in the game.
Yeah, and you'll especially see that where the Deadly Descents here in World Tour have their own kind of electronica tracks for them that are, you know, suspenseful,
picked,
you know, kind of driving you along. But like coming back and playing this game and hearing these songs again and going like, oh yeah, I remember them from playing this when it came out. Of course, you know, more kind of the rock songs are the ones that I remember, like Foster the People or The Big Pink.
Oh, right. Yeah, those were... I forgot both of those were in this game.
The other song that I like from this game is 1,000 Answers by the Hives, but that was also in FIFA 12, so that's also sort of like a shared, like, nostalgic thing.
And you can also, you know, put your own songs in the game by burning a CD. You know, I remember doing that back in the day, but yeah. All right, we're headed to the Deadly Descent, and all of these will have a, you know, cutscene preceding them. So... that is... that's going to show up here. We're going to be dealing with trees.
Hey, if you ask me, love, workout's going to be getting down. You're going to have a heck of a time bagging this one, let me tell you. Trees are really thickening up off this ridge, so I say get into it, grit your teeth, and go straight, real fast. If something gets in your way, you move.
Right, straight, fast move. Ha! Getting down's the best part.
You
That
brought
was
a
the
plane
deadly
here,
part.
and yet you made her climb.
Yeah. How dare you?
It's too dangerous to
maybe
land.
she chose to climb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've been jumping
Too
out of
dangerous
the
to bring
plane
her
already.
up here by helicopter when like every other Deadly Descent where the character's getting up there by helicopter, the helicopter's like halfway to crashing. You're gonna see.
Yeah. Also, the helicopter was up there.
Yeah. Other small things like, the helicopter pilot, you know, talking to you throughout, and it's kind of a nice touch. You know, sort of acting as the announcer, sort of reacting when you do well or do bad. And then, you know, of course, when you go off a big jump, the helicopter could swoop in and you could interact with it. Like, sometimes manually. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes you were like, I didn't want that to happen. But it, you know, it never screws you. And again, it's just nice having this, voice here. Voice here, especially when you're barking up the wrong tree, mate.
It's great.
I also really like the flares. That's a really nice touch that I forgot about.
Yeah, the flares not only like kind of show you the path, but you can also hit them to extend your combo, build up boost, go into tricky if you have just a little bit left, or you know, before getting tricky.
And like just the visual, the aesthetic of kicking a flare off, and then like, you know, it's like this little moment when you're getting close to hitting it again, and then you do, and it's like, that's a really cool feeling in the middle of like a run where you need to be paying attention to whether or not you're gonna hit a tree.
Yeah, and also like there's a color difference here where you see really in the nighttime courses.
Yeah.
When you don't have tricky, maybe it looks a little drab, maybe it looks a little bland, but that's because you get into tricky and suddenly the colors just pop. And
everything explodes in color.
Yeah, and that looks great. Like especially when you get into caves in other environments like Alaska or Fuji. That is you know, really cool. Just so many little things. As
this
well
game
as the big
looks
things.
good. Like it's, I wouldn't say it looks spectacular for a 360 game, but also like it's good for a 360 game, and
it
also
holds up.
there's no other SSX game on 360, so it's
Also,
a pretty good looking game.
You lost all your armor.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so armor is, you know, use it up, it doesn't regenerate, but it saves you from dipping straight into your health bar. Your health bar can regenerate a little bit, but you still don't want to be crashing into anything and everything.
Yeah. What if it lowered your maximum health permanently, and then like you just couldn't get your health completely full ever again?
You just couldn't.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, it happens to your real life health.
Oh my god.
the dudes in that truck were wearing Spartan helmets from Halo.
Yeah.
Like,
Crossover?
rewind, go look. It actually was.
Straight up.
What? I never noticed that before.
This game actually takes place in the 2500s.
I feel like if anybody had caught that when the game released, we would have had a lawsuit. Because that was like straight up a Spartan helmet.
Yeah, the little dip at the top of the visor thing.
The center thing, and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
Travis.
So we beat the Rockies with Zoe, and we can go to either Patagonia or Siberia. We'll be heading to Siberia, next time. The next Deadly Descent, the next area of the world on SSX. So see you then.